What that means is that we have to make sure that we are creating, thank you, that we are creating the environment where we can look for talent and talent knows we're looking for them. So when we think about what we're recommending is that you develop a mentality called college coach mentality. And let's talk about the whys, which will make you wise. College coach mentality is so different than the typical entrepreneur or the typical business format. And there's so many reasons why college coaches get this so much better. And I'm going to go to the next slide, and then I'll come back to this one. The realities of college coach mentality is they cannot get stuck on the team that they have in place. They know that they're going to have people that are going to graduate. They may go into that should say draft versus craft. Sorry, that's my mistake. They may go into the draft, so they may become a pro earlier than that college would have liked them to. They could have an injury at any time that would affect their talent that's on the court or on the field. And they have to be ready for all these realities at any time. So when we think about the whys that make us wise, what are we doing when we look at our staff going to graduate? The reality is they could say, I want to move on to another salon. They could relocate with their family. Someone could be recruiting them on the outside better than you're recruiting to keep them. They also could have an injury or a pregnancy or an accident of some kind that would take away from them the ability to work in your salon. So we have those realities too, but we don't think about them. College coaches have to think about those every single day. We as salon owners usually only think about them when they take place, and then we start to scramble. And so we're not anticipating change. We're keeping our fingers crossed that there is no change. College coaches know there's going to be change, and they just have to always know we're going on to plan B. Okay, so when you think about college coaches, when they're looking for talent, they're scouting 365 days a year. Now, let's do some realities with this too. College coaches have a budget for scouting. They probably have 10 or 12 or 15 people just on their scouting roster going everywhere and trying to find the right people that will complement the organization that they've got. They need to be discovered. These people need to be discovered, and they're not going to go to college unless they are discovered, unless it becomes the hype at the school or the conference that they're playing in. What does that look like to us? We have people in school every day of the year, and if you ask Steve right now, is he on yet? If you ask Steve right now, are there stars that always stand out in our schools? Absolutely. And many times those stars haven't been recognized verbally. They haven't been recognized for their ability to stand out beyond their school. And that's such a shame, because what it should look like is that these future professionals should know that people are watching them, and they should see how many hits they're getting of people that are wanting them to work in their salon. Now, what does that look like for us? What does that mean that we have to be ready to do and ready to respond to that kind of talent out there? How much time are we putting in the school? Have we created some kind of recognition award from our salon that you stood out so these people know that even while they were in class, there have people looking at them? That should never be in silence. Like I said, every school has those superstars. And the process of getting to know and create these relationships with these superstars is that you must show up. The goal is for your salon to become a household name at that school. So people know you, they know your team, they know what your reputation is, and there's this expression that I learned years ago called the eye test, and it's done in sports. I mean, you can have the greatest stats, but the eye test also tells us if someone's got that magic side to them. And you can't see an eye test when you're presenting. You've got to see you have to do the eye test and see through your own eyes that these people are superstars when they're doing the work, when they're performing on the clinic floor. And you find out from the learning leaders what their reputation are. So you can only do the eye test if you are on site. I hope that makes sense to everyone. All right, let's go next. As a scout, you need to know, what are you looking for? Absolutely know what you're looking for. Are you looking for some people that are strongest in color? Are you looking for another cutter to be on staff? Not that you're not departmentalized, but maybe you know there's a weakness that your staff all loves color. They cut, but they prefer color. You need some great cutters in there. They can help the color people become cutters and the cutter people to become colorists. You know you're looking for some energy and personality and someone with that when they walk in a room, they create magic just with their face. You must know what you're looking for as far as perhaps the age range, maybe the gender you're looking for that will complement your team. Are you looking for someone that is very punctual and on time and someone who is very, very dependable? And how are you going to prove those things if you don't know them? You must listen to what people are talking about these people that you're looking at. You must absolutely listen to the conversation that they're having with their guests, they're having with their teammates, they're having with their coaches, and see what kind of student they are of the coach. Like, do they nod? Do they roll their eyes? Are they defensive? Are they absolutely engaged? Because you must watch them play. None of these scouts, when they come back with a list for these college coaches and they say, we've got to look at this kid in this city. I've watched him play. He's consistent. He's got the magic when he's playing ball. That's the same thing. You must watch them play. You must find time. And this kind of goes back to the first topic that we had of prime time, and do your hours allow you to do everything you need to do as an owner? When you're open too many hours and you're behind the chair too much, when are you going to watch them play? How are you going to find the talent? This isn't about an application when you're looking for someone who is licensed. This isn't about an application. This is about you finding them. You want to do a character check on them, and how you're going to do that is by asking questions again, but just witnessing their character in action. And then you're also going to look at their technical craft check. You know that better than anyone. This is probably where you will automatically be able to engage your critique because of you being a hairdresser yourself. You want to look at their reputation in the game circle while they're on the floor, and how are they with teammates as far as jumping in, can I help you, are they using manners, is it all about them or is it about the team? You can see all that when you're watching them play. You know, my nephew is playing baseball as a freshman, and his goal is to really play ball in the pro arena. How many kids aren't looking for that? But Cole has something special. But the thing that we're watching Cole, not just for his technical ability on the ball field, but his reputation as a leader. Does he have leader capabilities? Does he bring the game up a notch? Does he slow it down? Does he hold his team accountable? All those things are necessary. And we're watching that as a family just like a scout would, and that's what you should do also when you're watching them in the schools. Now, something really big that you need to do is you start creating your target list. Your target list, and who's on the target list. And the target list are the people that are catching your eye. And you should keep these target lists in your back pocket all the time. You want to know when their target date is for graduating. If they're to graduate in May and they're not graduating until next December, well, what was the reason? Steve, can you jump in on any of this as far as the target list and checking in with people?
Well, I think it's something that if in fact you are regularly scouting, and if you know what you're looking for, there should be that list and checking in with them. 1,500 hours. I can tell you that someone going through school hits that kind of lull. You may remember it yourself. And no matter how good the school, they hit that lull somewhere around 900 hours or so. So my suggestion is at least in our schools, they move at 450 hours at 750. They move. So they start at core, they go to adaptive, and then at 750, they go to creative, and they're in creative for the second half of their schooling. And that's really a time when contact from you, that proof that there is another side of school, and that's the career that they're dreaming of and the career that they've been promised, and just any involvement that you have, any words of encouragement, whether it be Facebook, whether it be a phone call here and there.
Well,
just
my
to stay in
biggest
touch,
thing on
I think
this
is important.
My biggest thing on this, honey, is how many people know that they're on the target list? How many people know that they've got people watching them and making decisions based on that?
Not many. Yeah, I mean, even the ones that have already found a salon or have signed on with a salon, there's not a lot of contact throughout schooling unless they work there.
Why do you think that is? Because we don't make time for it? We don't think we're welcome? I mean, what are because we have to fill and create this barrier. I mean, when we have 200 people in Chicago, or we have 150 people in Lombard and all the other schools in the surrounding areas, and the amount of times I'm in front of them and ask, how many of you have signed on with a salon yet? And the number is so very, very low. I think, oh my gosh, you're going to receive an education. You're looking for a salon. Salons are looking for you. Where's the bottleneck here? This is when I get so frustrated. And you can say, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Should they knock on your door and then you start watching? Well, I think it's too late then, because they only knock on their door usually after they've graduated, so you watch nothing. Right?
Yeah, well, exactly. And I think that it's one thing to want to be involved with them after they graduate, meaning after they graduate, from that day they are hireable. They are able to join your staff, and you can start to work your magic with them. But that involvement while they're in school, I think, is priceless. And you may see enough to deselect them off your target list.
Well, but you know what? I think we go back to this. I think we stay on this subject for a moment, because even in our schools, sometimes the household name equates to guest artist. It doesn't relate to household name as scouting.
Oh, no doubt. No
doubt.
Well,
elaborate on that.
Well, I think that absent the guest artist staying around after their presentation to answer a few questions or take a few pictures, for the most part, that's when any potential recruiting comes from. And it's really not recruiting. It's students that they resonated with, future professionals that they resonated with, coming up to say, hey, are you hiring?
I liked your work, yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't go both ways. It does at career fairs, reverse career fairs, without a doubt. Those are very positive things.
But that's still not watching them work. That's not watching them play. That's not watching, and it's not that it's not a good thing, these reverse career fairs, but it's not watching them play in action. And people are welcome. I just want to make this absolutely clear. People are welcome to be in the school at any time to either participate or watch them play.
Well, and just so that you know what you're asking for when you call our placement leader, and I would imagine every school is like this, but in particular to Paul Mitchell schools, we have a program called Future Professionals in Action, and that's a day that you can schedule several hours and be present on the clinic floor, and there's kind of an outline that's given as a result of that to catch people in their environment and connect with them.
Well, I like it. I mean, I wonder if we have any questions. If we have questions right now saying, how do I find time? You might have to change the hours of your business. I mean, if you have 8 chairs and only 4 of them are occupied, and one of them is you doing most of the work, how do you not have time to create this for yourself? And am I saying it's easy? Gosh, no. I mean, I can remember what happened in 2014 for us. It was the year of scouting, and we did it every day. We talked about it. What are we going to do? Who are we going to hire? And when they didn't work out, terminate them, hire again, train again. And every day it was about filling the chairs. Now, did we still have to take orders from our guests, our salons, and ship product out? Absolutely. And another division in the company stayed focused on the operation. But our leadership had to be about getting the right talent at PSC. It was our absolute priority conversation every single day. Let me go to the next slide. Ooh. All right. So now that we're scouting them and we find the people, and this is where Steve really does great work, is now we have to be prepared to give the pitch. We watch them play. We want to go after them. They're the ones. We've done the character check. We've done the technical check. We've watched them play. We've got the eye test done. We received referrals and testimonials from their coaches. Now it's time for us to give the pitch, Steve. We want to see them. How do we go about this?
Well, I think it's at that time that you can share with them that you want to. Terry, is this the meeting itself?
Well, it might be the pitch about what paperwork should we have to give them? What do we want to say that we want to see you now? You're the one that we're interested in. And now we're going to try to create, it's kind of an interview, but it's also the pitch.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is be prepared. In today's day and age, it doesn't need to be very, very expensive video. It doesn't need to be very expensive printing. It doesn't need to be, you don't have to completely be something that you're not prepared to be. But I think that when you have that opportunity with someone who's caught your eye, and as Terry said, you've gone through all of those things and you know that this is somebody that you could see being immersed into your culture and your salon, you have to be ready to talk about your salon. And remember, the goal isn't to hire someone. The goal is to have someone join you. And I think that's an interesting little subtlety, is that you're not looking just to give somebody a job, because that's the most it'll ever be. But when they join you, when they join your culture, when they join your vision, when they join the mission that your business is about, when they join and begin and can clearly see a career path, when they know what kind of expectations you're going to have from a performance, both skills, technical skills and people skills, and they can see some kind of a timeline. I mean, that's, and I can go in certainly deeper on any of these topics, but this really should be an outline for you talking about your business, but also showing proof that your system works. So what do I mean by that?
We need to start with mission and vision. Okay.
So the mission is basically the who. You know, Terry, I'm a blank. I get the who and the how and the what and the what and the where.
This is the why and the what.
Okay, so why you did it? Why did you become a salon owner? That is the speech as much as anything. Why did you become a salon owner? Why your salon in your town in this time frame? Why were you ready? Why is the town ready? Why is the team that you're working with, who they are, that type of thing. And then the how is.
Wait a minute. We got to give examples of this, because most people that we get with and we meet with will say, "What is the mission of your business?" And they don't know, Steve, or they've forgotten. They're working so in it, they forget the mission of their business.
Well. And it's one of those things that you've got to be on. It's got to be talked about every time you're in front of your team, because that's what they joined. The mission can be to create a culture of hairdressers that are committed to excellence, that are in seek of technical brilliance, along with the ability to create repeat guests and make the guest feel very, very important. It can be something as simple as that, but if it's
or
not
the mission
simple,
could be the best salon in our community.
yeah.
That creates lifelong relationships with his guests, and we'll do anything we can to ensure that promise. That's our pledge to our community. That could be our mission. Our vision is who and the how.
So the who is, who do you want to be involved in that? Before there are names, faces, and personalities, who is it? What kind of professional, what kind of energy, what kind of team members are going to do this? And so it could be that we want a team that's dedicated to ongoing education, that leads their craft, and also that cares greatly for every single guest one at a time in 30 to 60-minute increments.
Well, and it can be, we are looking for people who love the beauty industry as much as we do, that absolutely love it. And we're going to create a circle of people that it's so obvious to the community that we love what we're doing.
Yeah, and we want a team of people that can speak about beauty.
That's right.
That can draw people in, that can be contagious about beauty.
Now, did we ever say we're looking for people high drama? We're looking for people that don't want to be here? Are we looking for people that would rather be somewhere else? Are
well,
we looking
different
for
too. We didn't say we're looking for people who can cut the perfect bob, or
no,
people
we
that
didn't
can
say that.
Can accomplish the perfect highlights. This is very much the story, the vision, what you want to be when you grow up, who you want to do it with. All of those are accomplished in this area.
And your vision could also be what your business looks like. I mean, does it need to be organized and clean and prepared for the guest? And is it obvious the extras are in place? Absolutely, that's part of your vision too. And how we're going to do this is we're going to have a consistent message, a consistent way, the ABC way of doing this, and that's key. And this is part of our pitch. Just like if you are being recruited by Ohio State to play football there, they will give the pitch that this is how we play football at Ohio State. Now, Iowa State could have a whole different message. Wisconsin could have a different message, but we at Ohio State, this is our message. It's crystal clear that we do it this way. In your vision, it has to be crystal clear what is the ABC way of your salon's way of doing business and serving the guest, and how you play beauty.
Mm-hmm.
The non-negotiables. Go ahead, honey.
Well, the non-negotiables are all about the things that are just that you will not negotiate off of. They're not the, I hope you're going to be on time, and I hope you're going to be in dress code, and I hope that you'll not
smoke, right?
Not smoke, or not be drunk when you get to work, or
on
it's
your
not,
phone.
It's what are the things that absolutely are game enders, game stoppers, the must-haves, the must be able to commit to. So non-negotiable could be it could be X amount of hours of advanced education per year, non-negotiable, approved by the salon.
Staff meetings.
Committed to lifelong learning. Staff meetings, when they're called on time, without excuses. So they can also be the dialogue that we use in our business is different from the dialogue that we use in our living rooms. That we will be family, but we will be professional, and define what professional is. Whatever those things are, you may have a feeling about. I don't even know. I wanted to say tattoos and piercings, but you know what? They are so much a part of appearance now that it's hard. We just always say we say to our future professionals, you got to pace yourself. You got to pace your personality. You get your following. get your tribe, and then start to express more of yourself once that happens, but certainly not right off the bat, because sometimes that'll scare potential clients and keep them away from you. Team's non-negotiable. The way you carry yourself in public and on the internet, I would suggest that you have an internet policy that they sign off on, just strictly because people come from a world of nothing's a secret anymore, and so much of the time they have a bad day at work, and all of a sudden on their Facebook they're writing FML, and my salon's so stupid, and that kind of stuff. I mean, they're just blowing off steam, but that kind of stuff, when they let their clients or other staff members involved, creates drama in the workplace, and it hurts the reputation of the business for sure.
So the next part is you're going to share with them during the pitch, what can you expect from your career path in our salon? And that's when PSC can go in deeper with you in some of our business classes. But a career path tells them what they can expect from their pricing, their compensation, how they would earn increases in their pricing, how they would earn more advanced education, how they would earn. This is about earning it. It's not about longevity. It's about contribution to the salon and how they earn these extras. They're there for them. And especially these millennials, they want to know, what's the next target I'm looking for? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think that first of all, if you haven't studied much or talked with people much about this millennial generation, I would suggest it. We need to learn, because these are the people that we're hiring. These are the people that are filling our schools now. The baby boomers are retiring at record numbers per day, and they're being replaced more so by millennials than by Gen Xers. The Gen Xers are a smaller population. The millennials are actually a larger population than even the baby boomers. So we've got to understand, and the baby boomers and millennials are much more alike than people think, with a couple of exceptions. First of all, they are willing to work hard, but they want to work smarter, and they don't want it to take as long as it took the people before them. They feel like it shouldn't take as long. That doesn't mean that, they probably do want it tomorrow, and we have to pace them a little bit, but they're willing to work hard for it. And that's one of the key differences. Sometimes we look at this generation and we think they're not willing to work hard. They are, but we have to constantly have that next step in front of them. They are looking forward to that next step from day one, and they expect it.
I like that. Now, performance standards are, what are the statistics we're looking for? And I'm going to talk about that when we go into timelines. So let's go through it. As far as the timeline preparation, we're going to talk about the first 12 months, and then we can talk about 12 months and beyond. And I should have probably added a slide on that. They're 0 to 3 months. What can they expect from you? Now, every salon has different expectations. Maybe during the 0 to 3 months, we're going to really focus on the footprints of the salon, listening to dialogue, the way we think. We're going to focus on styling. We're going to focus on shampooing. Maybe these are just examples. But now they know, and like Steve said, this millennial has to know what you're thinking about as far as where they should be. And great things to say to them during this is, you're exactly where you should be, because they're in too big of a hurry. They, during the 0 to 3 months, will want to think that they're at 9 to 12 months mentally in your business. I remember speaking to a millennial recently, and this person was in the position for four months, I believe. And they said, okay, thank you, I did that position, now I'd like to do another one. And I thought, oh my gosh, you haven't even mastered this one yet. So we need to share with them what mastering a position or a skill looks like to us. We can't keep that in our head. Millennials have to have us communicate with them. During 3 to 6 months, you'll tell them again what they, and my goodness, they'll hold you accountable to these dates too. In the 3 to 6 months, we're going to tell them we're going to focus on color. That's what we're going to do in 6 to 9 months. We're going to go back, and it's all going to be about cutting. And 9 to 12 is going to start doing hands-on application and watching our timing with a guest. Maybe that's what it looks like. I don't know. Yours could be completely different. The beauty of this is we at least communicated with them what typically happens and what typically you coach during the first 12 months. You know, they redshirt, and I don't know how many of you know what redshirt is, but let's say you receive a scholarship to Ohio State. Can you tell I'm from Ohio? Ohio State. And during your freshman year, they don't think that you have, you need more strength training, you need to understand how we play the game, so they'll redshirt you. So they'll get an extra 4 years of you playing, but that first year they really developed you into what they needed, so then they don't have to put you on the roster, but they get another year, and that first year they're preparing you mentally. I love that correlation. We're almost redshirting these people versus assisting them or having them be assistants during that first year. Steve, what do you think?
Well, I'm trying to make the correlation between redshirting and what would happen in a salon, Terry, and I think what you're meaning by that is that they're
learning how to think.
They're learning how to think within the system.
Well, yeah, and when you're redshirted, you still go to practice every day. You still do the strength training that the other team members do, but it gives you another year of depth to get ready. How wonderful is that? So that freshman year when you're awkward and sitting the bench, you really get another freshman year, and you're more prepared to have 4 great years at school. What I think is sometimes we use people to come in more as assistants versus trainees, more as assistants because we need the extra labor to help us versus really prepare them. And they don't know what they're learning, and you don't want them to think that all they're doing is being cheap labor during that first year. They have to know what they're learning every day, that there's a method to your madness. We understand it, but they have to understand it too. That's my point.
Okay. I think, though, Terry, that relates to, so if you step back and say, how did that become the case in salons where we use them for extra labor, where we're not necessarily always teaching them how to think? And my opinion on that is that in a lot of cases, the trainee, the new hire, either goes to work and immediately becomes a worker bee, or they're an interruption in the flow of the business. Most salons do not know how to absorb talent and how to bring out talent and greatness. And it's not that it's wrong. It's just we know how to look through the salon and how to see people working and see if they're contributing and see if they're doing the right things with their downtime once they are a behind the chair hairdresser. But as far as really putting the time in to understand what does it take to get someone ready for greatness, how much of my time is the leader? How much? And another mistake that's made is that we tap in on just the busiest or best people for everything, and then the trainee is getting leftover time instead of quality time.
Well, and I've heard on occasion, oh, good, we're getting a new assistant because I could really use the help. We're not doing that just to get the help. It's a great extra, but it's not the priority. The priority is to get them ready to help us as a team. I wouldn't leave these people alone as much as possible. I would never send them for lunch. I would not send them to get towels and leave them in a back room by themselves. I would want them with us to create, because I think you can expedite this 12 months. I don't know where the year assistance program really fell into play unless it's really documented and specific. And sometimes it's just because I had to wait a year, so they need to wait a year too. And if it's going to speed up our operation and allow us to do good work sooner, and it kind of goes into the next slide, kind of rookie start. After when you're done with college, sometimes you can come in and they'll say, boy, he's not redshirted, he's a, what do they call it, true freshman. Can they start sometimes? Sure. Even in the pros, can a rookie start? Sometimes, but usually they need to be taught the new game. And one of the things that we're thinking about right now is, can you test them out? Can they start doing services that you're comfortable with, and them being able to earn money in the salon so they create revenue for the business to offset some of their costs as an assistant? Do you let them test out early of specific services? And maybe all over color is one of the services they test out, and they can start doing that and receive compensation for. I don't know, but do they have to wait a year? Can we allow a rookie to test out if they're a star? Why not? Steve, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. Well, I think that's also one of the things, Terry, that the millennial generation requires. It's very difficult for them to not be able to test out because...
But sometimes they think they're better at something than they really are.
Right.
That's what we have to be careful at.
That's where the testing comes in. Because if they're not, now we have specific things that we know we need to lead them on.
We just saw some work of people that thought they were qualified, and we saw some video of and some photographs of work, and the color was just a sloppy mess on the model. It was great formulation. The color was beautiful, but the application was terrible. So when you look at that, when you look at that, the millennial's going to think, but look how beautiful that red is. No, that's only half of it. The other part is the application and how the model looks during the process. I mean, is she stained from head to toe? Is her neck stained? Is her forehead a mess? Yeah, the color's pretty, but the work is awful. It's like a dirty kitchen and a chef. It just doesn't go together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I mean, those are typically the things that need to be refined. Is to see how people work, the way that they work, the things that they're doing well, catch them doing things right, and then make the adjustments to the things that need adjustments. And we find this a lot, not only with newly licensed professionals, but with people that have been licensed for a very long time. They start to get too comfortable, or maybe they never did have to learn. They went right behind the chair. As a rookie, they started. And maybe what they needed was somebody to help and refine their technical.
Well,
but,
what's hard is when you as a salon, let's say you had a pregnancy, let's say you had a relocation, let's say you had a few people leave your salon. Now you've got this person that you are pushing too soon to be on the floor. And I can tell you as a trainer for years, that was my biggest complaint with one of my bosses. Tom Booth and I would fight over this all the time. And he would say to me, Terry, come on, we need them. And I'd say, they're not ready. At the risk of looking sloppy, I mean, we might assign someone to these customers, but they're not ready. What's worse, not ready or none at all? And we would go back and forth on it. And I think that my position was always, I'd rather not have the help work on guests that they're not prepared to work on, and figure out other ways. And let me give you an example of that. We were in the restaurant, and I think I was there with a couple of trainees, and Tom was there, and this was 4:15 on a Saturday night. So we phased all the people in, so we were very, very light staffed, because usually people aren't dining at 4 o'clock. And all of a sudden we had a big party of 25 people show up that wasn't on the reservation. Someone missed writing it down. And Tom looked at me and said, let them do it. The trainees can help. And I said, no, they can't. They're not ready. The best they can do is clean a plate off, and even then the plate shakes because they're awkward and they're uncomfortable and they're nervous and they're not equipped. And he said, well, what do you suggest? I said, I suggest you put on an apron, you and I take care of it, And the trainees will just clean our tables, but we cannot allow them not to be the expert of this restaurant in front of the customers. That kind of stuff happens in salons all too soon, too, that we put someone out there that's not prepared. In fact, they tell the customer, you know, I'm new. And I had a girl this weekend. I was at a competition with Emma at a very, very tired hotel. And the service was beyond horrible. I had the worst weekend of service. Waited 40 minutes for a valet once. What is that? I waited 30 minutes for a beverage in a restaurant, and the young man had no idea what the menu items were because they got hit and this guy wasn't ready. So you risk your reputation when you push the employee too soon. And they know they're sloppy and they apologize the whole time, but it's not their fault. It wasn't this young man's fault that we pushed him on the floor too soon. That's the kind of stuff that we have to promise during our conversations is we'll only put you out there when you're ready. We're not going to let you fail. And that's why we have the system of training that we have. All right, so let's go on to, can a rookie start? Test out. Okay, I like this next one. The always and the everyday. Every day you have to mentally evaluate your roster. And when we were playing softball as kids, and I hope these stories make sense and you can relate to them. My mom was our coach, and I can remember her sitting at the table thinking, okay, I'm going to move her to shortstop, move her to center field. Okay, I'll do this, and I'll keep moving the lineup around. How often are we looking at our lineups? How often are we paying attention to who should be our cleanup hitter? What are the hours? Are they working for us? How have we positioned our roster? Are we getting the best out of our roster? Are we prepared them mentally? And I think that we have to evaluate our roster every single day. If you would see Steve calls it me just making, what do you call it when you're just sketching out on paper? Scribbles, I guess. But I list our company staff at least once a month, the entire company, but the sales division, I write that list out almost every day. And I circle the things that they need to work on, and I'm figuring out, should we change this? Do they have the right mix? Do they have the right client base? And Steve thinks I'm changing the lineup too much sometimes, but I think that you have to look at it and say, what changes would make us stronger? And what do I need? What do they need? What do I need? And sometimes people won't even look at their lineups and evaluate the changes that are necessary for their staff. And your staff usually knows what the needs are. In football, they might say, and if any of you are sports fans, if the Bears would just get a decent quarterback, that's everyone evaluating the roster. That's the fans evaluating the roster. Just like your community. Your community might be saying, if they could just find a front desk person, dear God. Sometimes the community knows before we do. Steve?
Well, it's just that part's very true, and yet you have to sit and say, just like what gets attention in a team. One of the things that we hear in football is that this head coach is a defensive-oriented head coach. This one's an offensive-oriented head coach, and generally you can tell by their play. They're either a very, very good team in defense or a very good team in offense. There's few that get both of that right. Well, guess what? We can have someone who's very good at color. We can have one that's very good at cutting. We can have
but let's break it down even more. We've got great people at hair services, but their systems suck. They have no idea how to guide a guest through the salon with ease. Their check-in is difficult. Their check-out. Now, I have to tell you guys, this happened yesterday. So I thought, you know what? I was at Pheasant Run, and I feel bad saying this about them, but I was at Pheasant Run, and there's a spa there. And the receptionist said, this place is a joke. They don't even have any bags. And I'll just give you this canvas bag because they don't have any bags for me. This place just drives me nuts. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And the manicure was really good. And the manicurist, her dialogue was sensational. But that front desk just ruined the whole operation because the owner didn't put enough focus on the system of the front desk to complement the services that the technicians are doing. And we're guilty of that sometimes. And so the whole thing, you can't be good in one and offset the other one. Also, what I said to the hotel, and God bless you, Steve knows the face I had on, but I said, either you offer valet service or you don't. They said, ma'am, we'll comp you. We won't charge you for it. I said, you don't understand. It's not about the price. It's about the delivery. I don't mind paying for valet. I made that choice. But back it up and say that it's going to be a convenience for me, not an inconvenience. And that's the kind of stuff we have to evaluate in business every day. The lady just wanted to make it right and say, I'll comp you for the price. It didn't make up for my 40 minutes waiting for a valet person. I hope that's a good example of what I'm trying to say on that. So when you bring people in, are they going to help you look better? Are they going to complement? And when you come together as a team, ask them, what do we need that will allow us to serve better and have a better reputation in the community? Now, let's talk about what your scouting report should look like. You've got to create one. What do you want your scouting report to look like? And maybe you create one where you fill it out, put a name on, the school that they attend, when did they start school, when are they anticipating to graduate, what are their strengths, what's their reputation, what are the comments from their teammates, comments from the learning leaders, comments from the customers. You can get all that if you wanted to, but have a scouting report on the people you're interested in. And then maybe you put in there how many, like let's say you put 10 stars. Your goal is to have 10 contacts with them. Maybe you put 10 stars on it, write the dates next to it, comments that the individual had. Remember, our goal is to become a household name with this individual. I just get so excited about this because no one's doing it. So, and Steve just verified that earlier in the conversation. So if no one's doing that, can't you win? And can't you win quickly on this?
No doubt. No doubt. But it does take time, and it does take the desire, and it takes some preparation. It takes time and preparation. And,
wouldn't it be great, Steve, if you received a scouting report from a salon on one of your employees and you were copied on it?
Sure.
Wouldn't that be so great? This is the scouting report we received on Ethel, and you send a copy to the school or just copy them in an email on the girl you're interested in. Then the placement leader says, hey, Jane Doe, we just received this from the hair fetish, and they're really interested in you. Way to go, you stood out. How positive would that kind of recruiting process become? That's what I get excited about, is the possibilities of what we can do. I have no idea what time it is because I started getting on a tangent. We've got 10 minutes left. Can we take some questions, please?
I've got one question here from Olivia at the hair fetish. And she says here, what would you recommend if for only one assistant they get too involved and too busy with work, but they fall behind with what they're actually there to learn, grow, and develop them into a stylist? So, Olivia, I'm taking that as they themselves, as an assistant, are getting too involved or too in busy work, and they're not focusing on what they should. And I think that
Emma does that. Emma does that every single day. Our daughter, she should be cleaning her room, and I'll go upstairs, and she's focused on the wrong things. You have to redirect. And as a mother, I can do it pretty sternly, and as a boss, you have to do it differently. But you need to redirect them and say, this is where you should be right now. You're not spending your time wisely, and this is where you should be.
And also plan a specific time during the week for feedback. So I think back to, Terry, what you've taught, to tell, show, do, review.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that really quick. One of the things that I learned when I was with Pillsbury is tell, show, do, review. Excuse me. I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to show you. You're going to do it, Then you're going to review it, and I'm going to review it with you. Tell, show, do, review. My favorite type of training. There's another part that you can do at the beginning of every week with an assistant. And it could be, I did it daily, but, excuse me, I have the hiccups now. You can do it weekly. It's, I'll show you daily, and then let's talk about weekly as it could apply in a salon. It's, I would do before on-the-job training. This is everything that I expect from you tonight during this shift. These are the things we're going to focus on. This is what I'm going to be looking for. Then on-the-job training, I would be giving them snippets throughout the training process. And then after on-the-job training, I would meet with them after that shift. They would grab a beverage, I would grab one, and I would do an attitude assessment and a skill assessment every time. You could do that too, and maybe you do yours on a week. Before the week starts, during the week I'm going to coach. After the week I'm going to do an after-the-week assessment and focus also on attitude and skill. What's nice about that is the first couple nights of them working with me, because they would work with me for 2 weeks, just the two of us, in 2 weeks I had them ready to work part-time and make $600 a week. But I said to them, you have to be on my hip at all times. I'll be drilling you when we have downtime. I didn't take breaks when I had a trainee. I got them ready because that was my job. And my job was to drill them. And if we didn't have a customer, I'd get against the wall and say, okay, tell me all the vodkas. Tell me all the after-dinner cordials. How are you going to upsell a martini? Talk to me about this. And I would drill them till I knew they knew it. The first couple nights of after on-the-job training, I'd say, get a beverage, meet me in this booth. After on-the-job training, after the first 2 nights, I'd walk in the room, they'd already be sitting there. Usually posture beautiful, can't wait to because they gave the effort, they couldn't wait to hear what I had to say about them. And after the 2 weeks were over, they were almost sad that we weren't going to have that time together every day. And they'd always ask, can I still come to you and get suggestions from you? Absolutely. But I had to absolutely be that person that they would look up and look for in the room, because that's the commitment I made to them, to their work. Mm-hmm. Now, the scouting report. Go ahead.
We got another question.
Terrific. I'm glad you're doing this part.
This is from Jamie at JMG Hair Gallery. Tomorrow their team is teaching a class at their local school. What is your advice?
Well, what are you working on, Jamie? And whatever the class is, you're going to say before the class, this is what we're doing, but remember, there's a reason we're here. The reason we're here is we're looking for stars. We're looking for people that stand out. And we are recruiting. While we're here to help and give back to the industry by being at the schools, we're also looking for great talent that will complement our organization. I would say that during my opening. Steve?
I would also, Jamie, I would talk about whoever has most recently joined your team and the process that they went through to be ready to be behind the chair, and also then just kind of what kind of timeline did their success take. And you can kind of weave a story in through that. First of all, that story becomes proof that your system works, which is very important. They're more likely to see themselves in a newer person because they're new. So if we're telling, let's say Mary is one of those people that has been on the floor for less than 3 years or something. So she's most recently gone through the program. It gives you the opportunity to talk about Mary, talk about, or if she's there, for her to talk about what were her biggest ahas, what were the things that she felt came more easily than others, and what kind of a time frame. In other words, was it an extension of school and being broke for the first 6 months to a year? Because I think sometimes that's the reality too, to say that it doesn't automatically happen overnight. The other thing that I would do, Jamie, is I would have, if the school doesn't already cover this, I would talk about how many guests it takes to become fully scheduled behind the chair and what kind of timeline or expectation that you have to do it. So When Terry and I talk about that, just quickly, the bullet points I would give you is it takes approximately 200 to 240 guests to be fully scheduled behind the chair. So it's a race from the time that they're released to the floor to acquiring those 200 to 240 guests who come back on a regular basis once every 5 weeks in order for them to be fully scheduled. Knowing that, then what needs to be in place? Does that take 6 months? Does that take a year? Does that take 3 years? Quite honestly, I think it should be done within a year to a year and a half at the most. And if it's taking beyond that, I think that we have to take a step back and reevaluate. But that's definitely something I would talk about, because they're all thinking, as soon as school's over, I get to go to work and be a rock star and make $100,000.
You know what's so funny is also, as we've been watching Cole play ball, it's amazing how the buzz will happen in the stands when they know someone's there scouting. Steve, have you heard it? Where they'll say, "Who's that guy over there? He's from such and such, and he's scouting." And all the parents start, everyone's heads going up, looking around, because it's obvious. It's obvious when they're coming to watch someone play. And every parent in the audience is hoping they're watching their child. But the eye test is taking place, and they're watching everything. It's Cole was he plays for a traveling team in the summer, and they were all in the van or the bus or whatever, and the coach took a call, and it was from a recruiter, and the recruiter didn't ask how many home runs. That's not the first thing they said. They said, is he coachable? And what's his reputation with the team, and what's his reputation with the coaches? They didn't start off saying how many home runs has he had. The same thing holds true when you're looking for talent. Make sure that, once again, you're not going for someone who cuts the best bob. You're looking for someone who has a true love of the game. And that's what we wish for you, because you deserve to be surrounded by people who love it as much as you do. And in some ways, there are times where the owner's loving this business the most, and their staff, they haven't taught them how to love the game enough. And when we think about how blessed we were to be in Chicago and have Michael Jordan play ball, the biggest thing that he did was he loved the game so much that he brought everyone's stats up. On his team and any opposing team always had better stats when Michael was there. Talk about a scouting report. Can you imagine having that kind of reputation, that when you walk in a salon, everyone's numbers are better because you're on the floor cutting hair? That's how much you raise the game for everyone. That's what we wish for you, that kind of greatness, and be surrounded by that kind of talent that loves the game like you do. Thank you all. We really appreciate, once again, you joining us for e-learning. And remember that they're archived, so you can refer to them at any time. With any questions that you have, please get them to us at PSC or directly through your consultant, and we wish for you only greatness in the future.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a terrific week and month. We'll see you next month.
Bye-bye.